And welcome back to the Son Life's NHL20 BGM mode, episode 8, off-season recap and start of the 2020-2021 season. So we're at the end of preseason now. I'm just going to go off and start by saying Alexander Georgiev has won the starting goaltender job out of camp. Dubnyk didn't have the best preseason and Georgiev performed, so he at the beginning of the season is the starting goalie for Date Sondy's Minnesota Wild. Alexander Hovanov, if you know who he is, he's a Russian prospect for the Wild, currently playing on the Russian World Junior roster, Moncton Wildcats. He is a talent, and I feel he's just too good to be playing for Iowa, and he has made the team out of camp. I don't see us ever sending him down this season. I feel like he'll solidify himself, and due to this, and with the drafting of Tim Stutzel in the draft, in the past 2020 draft, we had some players expandable, and those two players were Ryan Donato and Joel Eriksson Ek. When it came down to this decision making, I wanted to get the deal done quick at the beginning of the season instead of having players sit out, just morale going all over the place, and it just made more sense in terms of what deal I can make and what was being offered. And when I had this deal you see on the screen, Joel Eriksson Ek for defenseman Mikey Anderson in a 2021 fourth round pick from LA, and after doing all my scouting and what I was looking for in my roster, I decided to do this deal because I was looking for another defensive prospect to solidify my D depth. I don't see Jonas Brodin on the roster next year, so that opens up one spot on the left side. There'll be two spots on the left side opening up by next season. Besides the top pairing where Ryan Suter is, he's gonna be on this team for a little while more with Parise due to these contracts, so they'll be staying with us as part of the core. So I decided to keep Ryan Donato and trade Joel Eriksson Ek. At the moment, Ryan Donato will be a part of our core. We'll have to see as players like Tim Stutzel and Hovanov start stepping into more prominent roles. But I wanted to get a deal done for Joel Eriksson Ek quick, and in LA, their D depth is quite strong. They have Sean Durzi, Tobias Bjornfoot, Caden Goulet, Sean Walker, to name a few. Well, the top 4 or 5 there. And they had Mikey Anderson, who was in that fold, but Tobias Bjornfoot won a spot out of camp. Mikey Anderson was sent back down to where is it? The Orlando Reign, the Ontario Reign, the Ontario Reign, and with a team like LA who did need to bring in a few more pieces, along with Lafreniere and Pietrangelo, Joel Eriksson Ek made sense there in LA, so we pulled Joel Eriksson Ek from Mikey Anderson in that 2021 fourth. We're starting Mikey Anderson in Iowa. But I think after between game 3 to 5, I think he'll be coming up. But the only difference and problem here is we have Susi and Sealer scratched at the moment. We have Hunt that we need to trade. Lyubushkin, I really wanted to bring Lyubushkin in. I really like him. Big, tough, right shot Russian defenseman who is perfect for that bottom pair right side. So we'll have to make a few more decisions. I believe we'll be sending Sealer down Put him on waivers. Susi, I really like him. But we'll just have to see how everything plays out. Just at the moment, I like the assets I have. I like the depth we have, and but at the moment, the our number one guy in terms of who we would bring up on that back end would be Mikey Anderson. So look out, he's on the cusp of being called up to Minnesota, but time that's just the situation of time will tell. So going back to the off season now, we're going to recap every move I did make. We'll go to the contracts. So in the system here, we signed another. Oh, before I talk about Lettieri, Mikey Anderson. Also, why this deal made a lot of sense for Minnesota. He's a Minnesota native, hometown boy. Played at Minnesota Duluth D1 in the NCAA. He was the captain of the World Junior USA team 2 to 3 years ago. Not sure exactly when, but I know it was 2 or 3 years ago. He's still very young, 21 years old. Coming home, getting traded to his hometown team. And I was very high on him from the second I started this be a GM mode. So I'm happy we could get him in a deal that made a lot of sense, and it was a very realistic trade as well. So Vinni Lettieri? Yeah, Lettieri. I'm just like, why I said Lettieri. Another Minnesota hometown boy, played at the University of Minnesota. He's 25. He was in the New York Rangers organization. Never really got a real chance with the Rangers, but with that Hartford team, he racked up the points. We have an opening on that right side that Nico Sturm is currently occupying after camp here, but we'll have to see. We're gonna start him with Iowa, but I'm high on him, and I think he has a chance of making the team at some point this season, and hopefully securing that position there with the Wild. So Johnson, he didn't get a huge look in the first season, but he's 26. He had 3 points in the first game. I still see him potentially making the team at some point this season. Well, not making the team per se, just being called up. I'm gonna give him a chance or two. So going back to the off season, we brought back Cal Rao on a 1-year, $800,000 deal. Same thing with Mayhew, Dumont, Manal, a 23-year-old right shot defenseman, another call-up candidate. I like him as a part of our defensive depth. Entry-level deal for Sean Boudreau. He's just this big 6'5", 220 right shot winger out of Quebec. He's 21. He was an overager, but we gave him a deal. He had 79 points in 65 games. He's going to be with Iowa. I love his size. And we'll have to see. He's looking like he's developing nice. So I have him as part of my depth chart for sure. Sokolov. We signed Artyom Ivanyuzhenkov. He is currently playing in San Jose's ECHL affiliate. He's been called up for 1 or 2 games with San Jose Barracuda there. And he's a 6'3", 225, another big winger that's out of Russia that through scouting and watching the game and following it, I see him potentially turning into something. I'm giving him an opportunity. He played in the USHL. He puts up points in the ECHL. So he'll be starting the season on that fourth line left wing side. Mason Shaw, right now he's injured in real life, but he's getting a chance to. He didn't get a lot of games in Iowa in general either in my first season here, so he's getting a full-time shot this season at Iowa. We signed Damian Giroux to a entry-level 3-year entry-level deal. 20-year-old who put up 86 points in 67 games with Saginaw. Looks like he's going to have a huge season already with 5 points in the first game. He's an overager playing with Saginaw in the OHL there. Sorry, fuck. Oh, what? My bad, shouldn't have said that. And Will Bitton staying there on the left wing, second line. Lodnia, third line, right wing. We'll go back. We'll see. Beckman's playing back in the WHL there. As you know, we signed Joe Duzak, who I'm giving an opportunity with our Iowa team there. He's playing on that second PP unit. We just signed Matvey Guskov to an entry-level deal. He's going to still take a little while to develop, but I'm not going to just let him walk. He's a 5th round pick by the Minnesota in 2019. He's playing with London, another Russian prospect, but he's a guy the Hunters see as a very good player, and I see him as a long-term project. As you know, Tim Stutzel, he's going to be playing on that second line. He's starting the season on that second line with the Iowa Wild in the middle there, and the first line PP unit. If he keeps it up, I see him even being called up. So that's what I'm saying. With our depth, I had to move a guy like Joel Eriksson Ek and get pieces that I truly am in need of, and a guy like Mikey Anderson was that, so it worked out for both sides. Philip Johansson's starting on that third pairing right side, a 20-year-old that I value right shot D prospects, and he's a nice prospect in general. 28th pick, first round to Minnesota, and 24th pick, first round pick to Minnesota in 2018. So he has nice potential, and I'm gonna hold on to him. You know, Mercer, Frazier. Okay, and now so I signed undrafted 20-year-old Finnish prospect Joonas Oden. 6 foot 184, right shot. He just absolutely ripped up the Junior A Liga, La Liga League, and he's playing with Cuckoo in the La Liga right now. I believe he has 7 points in 20-something games or something like that. I don't know exactly. I'm just like picturing what I think I remembered when looking at his elite prospects profile. I see if you're watching the World Juniors right now, he's on that Finnish team. I see potential in him. He's the only undrafted prospect I have signed. So signed with 3 years, minimum $700,000. If this was real life, I'd be starting him in the ECHL. So he's not on the Wild. He's not playing with the Wild at the moment. He's a scratch in the game, but in real life, I'd be having him play in the ECHL. But he's another long-term project that I'm hoping will pan out down that right side. Yeah, so we didn't have any main roster signings out of free agency really. The additions were Kaprizovs. Like if we go up, and our goalies will be the same with Kakinen and Robson. So the only real additions on the roster were internal, and that was Hovanov uh, and Kaprizov and Lyubushkin. Yes, Lyubushkin. We actually have 3 players. Wow. I need to make some decisions with the main roster. I'm actually going to be sending. I might be sending Nick Sealer down. I have just too many scratched defensemen. That's signing. I really wanted to sign Lyubushkin. Patterin. I don't necessarily like what he brings. But I'm gonna go with Sushi and Powder and send Sealer down. We'll have to see. But yeah, no real huge other big additions. Like our big addition was Kaprizov, and he was playing in the K, in the Russian league. But he's still an internal addition, so that's the real off-season recap there for you. I'm excited. I think this Iowa team's gonna win quite a few games compared to the 20 wins they had last season. It was like last in the AHL. It's just horrible. So, and then if anyone wants me to talk about the goalie situation, I was high on Askarov. I really like Yaroslav Askarov. I think he's gonna go in the top 10. And sitting at 11 there, I was really high on him. But for a player like Tim Stutzel to fall to me at 11, I couldn't say no. I have this guy in the top 3. I would have picked him in the top 3 if I had a top 3 pick. So for me to get him at 11, I had to say no to the goalie prospect and Askarov in the first. And in that New York trade with Zucker to get that 3rd round pick and to get a big 6'3", 184 goalie like Nick Malik, who I had, and as you watched in the I believe it was episode 6, the draft, when I made that trade for Zucker and I went to look at prospects I had pinned down on my draft board around that pick, Nick Malik was what I was in that perfect position, and I was with passing on Askarov and picking Stutzel. My draft plan was to go for a goalie in the later rounds, and when I made that trade to get a 3rd rounder, which I didn't have beforehand, I wasn't going to draft in the 3rd round, but after making that trade, it gave me the opportunity to draft Malik, who had actually ended up being the next pick. Like if I even simulated that pick, he would have been the pick. So it worked out perfectly actually. He has a medium he's a starter potential. I think he's gonna be between him and Jones, being our 2 top goalie prospects, and they both have medium starter potential. So I believe one of these 2 will be a goaltender for the Minnesota Wild. In the long term. So if we look at the lines, I'm just gonna go to edit lines. This is how we're starting the season. So, yeah, Kaprizov on that second line. Parise, Stahl, Fiala. Kaprizov, Kunin, Zuccarello. Greenway, Donato, Hartman. Foligno, Havanov, and Nico Sturm. On the back end, no real change other than Lyubushkin. He had a great preseason. And then sitting behind them on the roster are Carson Soucy and Greg Patterin. I'm going to make Brad Hunt expandable. I potentially make Brodin expandable depending on how Mikey Anderson and ULV starts their seasons. End up. If Mikey Anderson, I have no choice but to really call up Mikey Anderson. I'm really going to have to make a few decisions. But I'm happy to have more asset and liquidity than less. So down with the Iowa team, we have Mayhew, Johnson, Bitton on that first line. Actually, no, Lettieri. No, yeah, I'm gonna have Bitton on that first line.